Welcome to Everything Co-op, bringing you information on how cooperatives can help improve your quality of life. This show is being sponsored by the National Co-op Bank, NCB. The NCB is dedicated to strengthening communities nationwide for the delivery of banking and financial services for the nation's cooperatives, their members, and other socially responsible organizations. For more information on the power of community ownership, visit ncb.coop. That's ncb.coop. Now stay tuned for your host, Vernon Oakes.
Good morning, everybody. This is Vernon Oakes. Welcome to Everything Co-op. This morning, we have two guests on with us this morning, Theodora Rodine and Shevanthi Daniel. Good morning, ladies.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there.
And we're here to talk about the Worker Co-op Conference, which is going to happen in September. That's the main reason we are here. But before we get started on that, Theodora, won't you tell us, where did you grow up, go to school?
I grew up in San Jose, California, in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. I went to school in the public school system there from K through 12 the whole time. And then I came out to Philadelphia because I went to college at Haverford College, which is a small school in the area.
Okay. Where are you now?
I'm still in Philadelphia. I moved to the city after graduating, and I've loved being here, living in South Philly ever since then.
From San Jose, okay.
Yeah, the public transportation is a lot better here, so that was definitely a factor. California needs some help with their BART.
And Shevanthi, what about yourself? Where did you grow up and go to school?
Oh, yes. So I immigrated here with my family to Seattle, Washington, Pacific Northwest. I'm originally from Sri Lanka, and we immigrated as a family and have basically lived most of my life in the Northwest. I've moved around other countries, other cities, but have found my way back to the Northwest. I love these green trees. A little bit of rain. Yeah, and I studied at the University of Washington and eventually then got my MBA at Presidio.
Okay, and where are you now?
I'm based out of Seattle, in the city. Seattle,
okay.
Washington, yeah.
Okay, I've only been there, I've been there twice. Where did you learn about co-ops? Theodora first, did you learn about it in your formal education?
You know, I did actually, and
wow.
I was at
Wait a
college.
minute, you're the first one in 11 years, okay.
I know, I can tell based on the way you asked the question that you were not expecting me to say yes. Well, here's the thing. Esteban Kelly, the executive director of the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives, which is where I work now, was, he's based in Philadelphia. He has been for a while. And since I went to school out here, he was getting students interested in it. So he spoke at a class at my college, and it was a class about just humanitarian kind of support, how to do it well, how to actually do it, and not fall into that nonprofit sort of mire of trying to help and not getting to the people you want to help. And when he talked about it, I was so inspired because he was the speaker that came in. We had like somebody every week. And when he came in, I was like, this is working. Like, I can tell it's working because he's so excited. This was back in 2015. And it was just really exciting. And I thought, this is the thing that if I want to be part of something that actually isn't about, myself and my perspective, but actually gets to what people need and giving people what they need and giving them the resources to do it themselves, this is the one. So I was lucky enough to get a summer internship, basically try to get my connections there and just say, hey, I want to work with you. And, that led to this eventually.
Fantastic. Okay, that's unusual. Great. And Shevanthi, how did you learn about co-op? What did you learn about it in your formal education?
Oh, no, not at all in my formal education. I was working in labor organizing at SEIU and had gone and gotten my MBA in sustainable business. And through that, started to meet people in the co-op sector. And I was asked to help create a MBA track, a program that essentially, helped MBAs hear about co-ops in general. And I remember at that time putting together a committee of people that would inform what this track might look like, this educational curriculum, what the content might look like. And Melissa Hoover and Hillary Abell and a few other folks in the co-op sector were part of this group, and that introduced me to co-ops. So it was really completely through the back door. It was mostly concerned about labor and worker organizing, and I had a chance to see how creative the co-op sector is and how it's bringing real solutions for people's lives.
You said gross solutions for people's lives?
Real solutions.
Real solutions. Okay.
Yeah.
Real
really,
solutions.
I just saw the power potential that it has on our economy and on workers themselves.
Okay. I got my MBA from Stanford. This was in 76 when I graduated. I have a master's in math. I have an undergrad degree in math and chemistry, but nowhere did I hear about co-ops.
Right.
And I think I was 40 when I heard about co-ops, 39 or 40 years old before I heard about co-ops. So I have it when people, the sooner you hear about them and know about them, the sooner you can get involved and have that creativity you talk about and get real solutions to community problems and family problems and individual problems. So it's a great way. Sustainable business. Now, what is SELU?
CIU is the Service Employees International Union. That's where I was doing labor organizing with healthcare workers prior to joining DAWI, Democracy at Work Institute, where I'm at now.
Okay. So we are here to talk about the Worker Co-op Conference, which is going to be September the 12th through the 14th in Chicago. Are both of your organizations working on that conference?
That's right. We're co-producing the conference together, and we are sister organizations. So this is a great time and opportunity for us to really be working together in the trenches to produce this event this year. Very exciting.
So Theodora, U.S. Federation of Worker Co-ops is celebrating 20 years. Tell us, what is the United States Federation of Worker Co-ops? What is it and what does it do?
Yeah, other than a mouthful. It's definitely a mouthful. It's hard for me to say even now, and I do it, a lot. We decided we're saying the Federation a lot more now, at least if you understand kind of contextually what we're talking about, because it is so many words. But yeah, it's the only national grassroots organization for worker co-ops specifically. So it is a federation in that it is a member-led organization. So we have members that are cooperatives, businesses, and other developers and organizations that are working together on growing co-ops and just supporting the ones that already exist within the U.S. as well.
Okay. So I know you haven't been there for 20 years. So how long have you been with the Worker Co-op?
So I got that summer internship in 2016, would have been my first year after college. So I was an intern, temporary, and I did not know if I was going to be able to keep working there, because at the time it was like 3 people. It's like 3 staff members. And so I knew it was a growing organization, and it was also one that definitely needed more resources in order to hire and actually have, more staff. So for me, it's been since 2016. I was able to go to the conference in Austin that year, and that was my first Worker Co-op conference. Yeah. But okay. I do know that the 2004, the fun thing about it being 20 years is actually the conference was the original event of the Federation. The Federation actually came out of a conference. The conference happened because there were organizers who were working in their own sections of the country, and they then realized, well, a lot of us are dealing with the same problems really nationally. I mean, we have the same laws, we have the same IRS, we're dealing with a lot of the same structures, and so we should be talking nationally. And so that predated the existence of the Federation. Okay.
And Shevanthi, the Democracy at Work Institute, DAWI, celebrating 10 years. What is?
That's right.
What is DAWI? Tell us about that organization.
Yeah, so we are a sister organization, right, to the U.S. Federation of Worker Co-ops, and we were essentially inspired by the U.S. Federation's members' vision to advance and grow the cooperative sector. So we started back in 2013, and at this point, celebrating at the stage 10 years. And I've been with the organization for about 8 of those 10 years. Our mission is to expand the worker cooperative model to meet the needs of workers locked out of good jobs and ownership opportunities. And we're a movement-based think and do tank.
Movement-based and think tank. Okay.
That's
movement.
right. Yes.
Action.
We have a bird's eye view on the field, and yes, and we bring innovative strategies and convene the field. So, if you think of the U.S. Federation as the member organization, we focus on bringing in new members, people that are just beginning to learn about co-ops and want to help support, grow the field of worker-owned co-ops.
Okay, so if there's anybody out there listening that doesn't know what a worker co-op is, so there are all kinds of co-ops, and it depends on the first two types depends on who owns and controls the business. If the employees own the business and they control it, then it's a worker co-op. And I would also say that co-op is a co-op if they operate under the values and principles of cooperation. And then if it's a consumer co-op is another one, and that's the businesses that are owned and controlled by the people that uses the products or services. Credit unions are consumer co-ops, rural electric co-ops are consumer co-ops, housing co-ops, REI, recreational equipment, is owned by the consumers. The other two are marketing co-ops and marketing/producer co-ops and purchasing co-ops. We won't talk about those now. We're going to go back to just talking about worker co-ops. It's when the employees own and control the business. So, and I thought about that when Shevanthi said that if people are locked out of employment. I have it, ladies, that co-ops are formed whenever there's a problem in the community, and it comes out to solve that problem. So if you have people that can't find jobs, or they won't be hired, or they don't have skill sets, they can start their own business. That's again where a worker co-op can come into business. Okay, so I wanted to get that definition out. How and why have the two organizations come together to create this worker co-op conference? Theodora?
Yes. So
go ahead, Shevanthi.
I think Theodora will also chime in on this, but I think the core work of the conference is to help build networks and get people to start working together in collaboration. So in the co-op sector, we have worker owners that come from the business, but we also have business service providers, so people that are lending to co-ops or helping to provide technical assistance and business support. And they're located all over the country. And the conference is the one national place that everyone can come together and be able to connect. So that's one element of the conference that really adds a level of magic and ingenuity of bringing so many people together to continue to build, a broader ecosystem of support for worker-owned co-ops. But Theodora, you're in charge of a lot of the conference work. You might have more to add there.
Yeah, I'll just say we see a huge increase in engagement with the national movement and both of our organizations whenever we have a conference. We only do it every other year because it's a lot of work. 2022, so 2022 was the last one, 2024 is in the even years. And we just see this huge, interest in people coming together, and we always get new people who want to become members. We always learn about new cooperatives that exist already that weren't connected to us, and people who are really interested in starting co-op businesses but are just looking for resources. So it's a really important event for people to just know that, all of these resources do exist. And like Shev was saying, really the connections are so important in terms of when you're starting out in this field.
Okay, so what are the trends? What are you guys seeing? What have you identified over the past 20 years that teach us about the growth of worker co-ops? Who want to take that one?
Yeah, I can, and welcome Theodora to jump in. So the Worker Co-op State of the Sector report will be coming out this year. They will be producing that, and it'll be available at the conference. But it's the one study that is being done on worker-owned businesses, where we've been tracking progress on the sector for since 2012. We do this report in conjunction with the U.S. Federation of Worker Co-ops. So the report draws upon the latest developments in the field, and the most recent data shows that there are about 751 worker-owned co-ops and democratic workplaces, and the estimate is closer to 1,300. We can only access, the ones that are available to us, but currently we've seen that growth be about 200% year to year over the last decade since we've been starting to track this information. And if you can compare the 751 businesses that are out there that are worker-owned co-ops to when we started, it was back in 2012, there was about 254 co-ops.
Okay.
So the size and the growth has been considerable.
You have anything to add, Theodora?
No, that covers it. Yeah.
Well, okay, in this report on the national movement, and 751 is the number of co-ops that you can find in the U.S. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes.
And you estimate 1,300. Do you have any idea of how many jobs that 751 represents?
I don't have the data on that at the top of my fingertips, but I, look for that published report when it comes out. I unfortunately don't have that information.
That would really be interesting to see what that is. I know we've had equal exchange. We've had equal exchange on this show as a worker co-op. We've had a home health care out of, I think it's the Bronx in New York. They had 1,500 members, and at the time, at least, they were the largest worker-owned co-op in the U.S. And with the number of baby boomers out there, there's a huge need for home health care workers, particularly good ones.
Yes.
So there's
definitely a pattern in terms of the growth. The size of businesses are actually, the average size is about 6. So despite this increase, what we're seeing is also a lot of the smaller businesses becoming worker-owned co-ops as well. And we do see particular industries, and home care is one of them, child care, taxi, cleaning, and food and beverage service type companies are.
I need you to say that. I need you to say that again for me a little bit slower. You said home care, health care.
Yeah, home care, child care, taxi, co-ops, cleaning co-ops, and food and beverage co-ops. So we've seen an increase in these industries over the last 10 years.
What about conversions with the number of baby boomers, my age bracket, own business, and maybe don't have a succession plan, and the employees can come in and buy it? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, we do track those numbers as well. I don't have them offhand, but what we're seeing is a larger portion of conversions often can be on average about 10 employee businesses, or 10 smaller businesses, mid-sized businesses. So we're seeing a variety across the board, but I don't have the specific numbers on that right now.
Great. Yeah, I would expect that we would see more and more of that conversion. I've also had a group on Shy Fresh out of Chicago.
Yeah, they're one of the worker owners is actually on our board, Kimberly Britt, current board member of the Federation. So she's really deeply involved in shaping the direction of a lot of our work right now.
Okay. And if my memory serves me right, there were 5 people that started that, and they were formerly incarcerated?
Yes, that's right.
So this is like, wow. If somebody comes, and most people that come out of jail or prison or our system that seems to harm a lot of people, sometimes unjustly, but when they come out of that system, more often than not, they can't find a good job or can't find a job at all. So,
yeah. I think that's what's so special about worker co-ops. You know, when Shevanthi, the industries that she was mentioning there, these are people in very, very vulnerable industries and very vulnerable jobs. These are people who, for them, owning the business and controlling the business is life-changing. And just like you said, with people who are formerly incarcerated, you know, the Shy Fresh project in Chicago, that we're going to hire, obviously, for our conference's meals. Obviously, they make meals, and we're going to use them because they're so good. And, you know, that's exactly the kind of thing. You're seeing people who are actually, this is going to be life-changing because they're actually not able to work or able to make anything like the amount of money or have the stability that they know that they're going to be able to have a job in a year or two with our, you know, wildly changing economy. So it's really, really getting at the heart of some deep racial and economic justice issues.
That's right, yeah.
The penal system seems to, I call it the whole injustice system, because when you look at how black and brown folks, indigenous people are treated, it's normally very harsh. And then it puts a stigma on them. And when we start talking about community problems, this is a huge community problem for the folks that come out of that system. And the recidivism rate, the amount of people that go back into jail is very high in the U.S., 70% or something like that. You come out, and within 3 years or so, 70% of the people that came out are back in. Often it's because they can't find good employment, okay? Can't find good, meaningful work. And I haven't looked at Shy Fresh as much in their results, but there was a bakery in Italy where their recidivism rate was 3%. And they started working in the co-op while they were in prison, okay? And then when they got out, they already had a huge family, and they were stock owners. They were not only a job, but they were owning the business. So there's no need to go back. You can make a living, and you can have value and worth. Yeah, I find it fascinating what a worker co-op can do for all individuals, but particularly with individuals that have some kind of stigma. A woman, a black or brown person, or indigenous, or formerly homeless, or alcoholic, or formerly in prison, whatever the situation might be.
Yeah.
To find a business you can start and own or join and own, it's just it's absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we hear those powerful stories all the time from worker owners. It's pretty amazing. And I think that the interesting thing that we've seen in our work is we always see the power potential from workers telling their own stories, but we're also seeing an increased interest in through movements and labor organizations and city officials that are really looking at co-ops as a way to advance immigrant justice, labor justice, gender justice, racial justice. So there are more people now engaged and interested in this model as a pathway to changing so many things about our system that is broken.
So, Theodora, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say that because you mentioned the co-op you were thinking about in Italy, and I know people who have been able to visit that co-op and other, areas in Italy that have these great models. And this is why I think it's so important to have, when we talk about a national movement, there's, self-determination within a business, and people can make decisions with each other about what they need and how they're going to pay themselves and get their profit and stay in business and, allow people to work who, like you were saying, with the stigma wouldn't be able to. And then outside of that little, structure of the business, there are these models that are happening in other countries or in other places in the United States that are so, big and so powerful. And that's why we really believe, both of us, that we need to have this national movement, because we can share with each other and, just expand how many people are able to actually access the privilege and power of being in a worker co-op.
So, Theodora, if somebody wants to go to this worker co-op conference, how would they look it up and get registered?
Thanks. Yeah, our website, we have a specific website for the conference. It's just conference.coop. Conference.coop, the Worker Co-op Conference website. And if you go there, you'll find all of the other information and a big button about registering.
Well, thank you, ladies. We're going to take our break now. We've been talking about how you all got involved in co-ops and what a worker co-op is and different examples and what you're looking to accomplish in this worker co-op conference. When we come back after the break, I would like to get more into what somebody can expect to get out of the conference. And the fifth principle of cooperation is education, training, and cooperation. Education, training, and information. Okay. And that turns out to be the main reason I love co-ops, is because of the training that happens. We'll be right back. Please don't touch that dial.
News Talk 1450 WOLAM.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Vernon Oakes, and the program is Everything Co-op. We have two guests on with us this morning, Theodora Rodine and Shevanthi Daniels. We're talking about the Worker Co-op Conference, which is going to be in Chicago on September 12th through the 14th. Ladies, we've been on the air almost 11 years, and the National Co-op Bank has been our main financial sponsor and cheerleader. They've just been absolutely wonderful. NCB's mission is to support U.S. co-ops and their members by providing innovative financial services. And, well, let me just ask you, Theodora, first. Have you worked with NCB at all on any of the projects, or do you know of any of the projects, the worker co-ops, that have used NCB's financing, innovative financial services?
Yeah, absolutely. They are always a conference sponsor, so they come through to help us be able to put on the conference as well. They, are usually a great source of just a sense of like what we can offer to our participants through that financial support to our program. And I know that there are co-ops that work with them and have had a really great support. I wouldn't be the best person to speak to on that because I don't work directly with a lot of businesses on the business support, but yeah, they're so important to the field for sure.
Thanks. I have found them to be great to work with. They've helped us a lot in knowing who is out there in the co-op world that we might interview, and just giving us all kinds of great advice through the years. So why did you guys choose Chicago to have your conference this year?
Yeah, well, Chicago has been a really wonderful site of growth in the co-op sector. In November 2021, the city of Chicago made a historic $15 million commitment to invest in community wealth building, and Chicago's approach prioritizes strengthening and deepening the local cooperative ecosystem essential for generating real community wealth. So that includes worker co-ops. Worker co-ops are not the only aspect of that plan. But, with that money, they have a lot of people starting co-ops, getting interested in them. And with that comes a lot of need for support as well. Once you have the money, a lot of things start to happen very quickly. And we have heard that from our members in Chicago, that things are just happening really quickly. And we want to celebrate them. We want to thank them and just lift them up for the amazing organizing that led to that thing in 2021, that money that came through. And we also want to learn from them, understand how that happened, and understand, what they're doing that's so special and so supportive of each neighborhood in Chicago. And we also want to give them that support to say, we know it's hard when you suddenly have a business plan and this and that, you're operating really quickly and you might have these, deadlines that come in through the city about when it's used. And, we can make sure that we're letting you do this in a way that makes it sustainable in the long run. We don't want to see a bunch of businesses, starting and then having issues down the road. And we want to make sure that they're set up to be sustainable, for the very, very long term.
Fantastic. Anything to add to it, Shevanthi?
Yeah, I think just to underscore the organizing that took place in Chicago in order for them to win this historic $15 million was a big lift. And there were many key actors and stakeholders that had to come together to really make that happen. So I think the mayor definitely is supportive and is behind all of the work and has been our greatest champion. And I think we want to lift up the city's support, but also there are so many folks that are on the ground from different co-op organizations and business service organizations that came together to really support the effort. And I think we're starting to see the fruit of that, and I'm excited to be in Chicago and meet several of those stakeholders who will be attending and helping host the event.
So I've interviewed Dr. Stacy Sutton, who's been a part of that, and attorney Renee Hatcher,
Yes.
both from Chicago and doing great work throughout the U.S., by the way, not just in Chicago. But they tell me I will find the best ice cream. There's a vegan ice cream store and a co-op in Chicago, so I will be going. I'm coming to your conference, by the way. I'll be there.
Oh, excellent.
Great.
Mo Franklin, who's in charge of communications.
She's the policy director now. Yeah, she used to be, but yeah, she's she works on policy and in communications in some ways and so many things.
Well, she's been working with us, Pat Thornton, our producer, and myself to have us do our show that Thursday at your conference, and we may have a booth where we'll interview people and get their stories down. We're working on that.
Oh, wonderful.
So trying to see how we'll do that. So I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been to your conference since it was one in Baltimore, maybe 7 years ago. So it's been a while since I've been to your conference.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Dr. Sutton and attorney Renee Hatcher, because I was going to say they're actually both on our host committee. So we have a group of people. It's just like the local people in Chicago who kind of help design the conference. And if you want to see a full list of them, that is also on our website, conference.coop. There's a page that lists everyone on our host committee and what organization they're with, which is a cool way to kind of get a sense of who will be there, who's been involved in really planning this event. And the work that they've been doing at the University of Illinois Chicago, UIC, is just, it's the reason we're doing this in Chicago, right? It's the thing that led to the investment. It's the thing that led to the ecosystem being where it is now, in addition to all the hard workers who are running their own co-ops and, going to these meetings at night as well, talking about how to grow the ecosystem. So it's really a group effort, and it's just, they deserve a lot of credit for all the work that they're doing to make this a reality in Chicago.
Well, I found them to be fantastic in information, and I got from Dr. Sutton what an ecosystem is. And you've already mentioned financing, technical assistance, training as part of the ecosystem. Well, you didn't mention it as a part of the ecosystem, but those three are part. There's also the legal part of it. What I find interesting is a big part of the ecosystem are the co-ops that are currently there. That's the worker co-ops, the consumer co-ops, the purchasing co-ops, and the marketing co-ops, because they can also help in creating and training new co-ops. So Chicago has an excellent co-op ecosystem, and it's improving. So I'm looking forward to it, particularly vegetarian ice cream. Yeah, because I can probably eat that. Okay.
Are you vegan?
No, but my body loves vegetables, so I tend to be. I have been vegetarian, I have been vegan, but I love vegetables. And some things like milk products, I don't do well.
Yeah.
I don't do.
I was going to say, because we have a lot of attendees that are vegan. We always get surprised from the caterers when we tell them the portion of vegans and vegetarians to prepare for. It's like more than usual for sure.
Well, when I check off, I normally check off vegetarian because I don't want the red meats or the pork or any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm looking forward to Chicago on the 12th through the 14th and looking to have some fun. Yeah, what are you doing for fun up there?
Oh, there's always fun. There's always fun, right, Theodora? I think there's a large party being planned. That always is the culminating event that just sort of ends the conference and in an uproar of friendliness and just joy. But Theodora, you should definitely speak to the other areas of fun outside of the party.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you spoke up. You're excited because you've been to, every year for a while, every time we do this, and it is really fun. So people who have been, they know. Yeah.
There's so much camaraderie that gets built, right, at the conferences. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's fun and it's informal time, I think, is really what makes the difference. We try to have a little bit of a less structured event, as much as possible. And that whole first Thursday, the 12th, of September is just for that. It's coming in, saying hi to people you may know. Most of us already know somebody who's going to be there, somebody in the movement. If not, it's great to meet people and kind of figure out who is already there that maybe you weren't expecting. And then the meetups, which are kind of times that people can talk to each other about the specific aspect of an industry or a sector that they're in, what they're doing in co-ops, and the plenary, and that's the whole first day is meant to be really informal. We also have that time baked in on every other day as well. So Friday there's a tabling time, which is kind of mingling as well. And that's why I'm talking about these resources people can find out about is, once you're there's going to be businesses and organizations that their whole thing is trying to help co-ops and help worker co-ops. They're going to be there trying to tell you, this is what we have available. Please, apply for this loan. Please, do this. And that's what they're there for. So it's a great place for those resources and for just making those connections. And we also have a worker co-op awards ceremony. We do worker co-op awards every year. Those are kind of modeled off of the larger co-op awards that the NCBA gives to all sectors of co-ops. And we have our own just for worker co-ops. And we get to honor the people who are the co-ops that are outstanding, that are just going above and beyond to serve their community and keep their resources, in their community. And so that would be really fun. That's Friday night. And I know you were just inducted into the Hall of Fame, the NCBA this year, Vernon. Congratulations on that. So that's, you know how important it is for us to kind of recognize the people who are just like really putting in, so much to make this movement work.
So the induction ceremony will be October the 3rd of this year in D.C. at the Hamilton Hotel, if there's anybody. And what looks like it's going to be a sold-out venue. They moved it to the Hamilton. It's always been at the National Press Club, but they outgrew it, so they moved it to the Hamilton Hotel. And this is CDF is putting this on, Cooperative Development Foundation, and this is their 50th year anniversary also. So you were 10 and 20, CDF has been around for 50 years. And I'm excited as I can be because the committee, there was 5 people in the committee that put together my application and took it before the selection committee and I think there were 9 letters of endorsement. They did all of the work and they didn't tell me anything about it. Matter of fact, they made sure I didn't know. So it was a total surprise. And
that's great.
A man's not supposed
You
to cry,
deserve
but tears came down. It came down when they told me. Yeah, it was wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it takes a lot of people to get one person recognized, actually. We see that too. It's a really popular event because there's for every group that speaks and says, thanks, we're a great co-op, there's 10 other groups saying, oh my gosh, we helped them, we supported them, we nominated them. So yeah, that's why it's so fun and celebratory, I think, for the whole conference.
Well, it is cooperation, and I've probably been to 10 induction ceremonies, and almost everybody gets up and says first, I couldn't do this by myself. This is not a Vernon Oaks everything radio show. Pat Thornton and Justin Frankston, Rob McClinton, Samuel Melody. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that get this stuff done. So yeah, it's a group, and we're starting a worker co-op, by the way.
Oh, really? What? Oh my gosh!
It's called Everything Co-op Communications LLC. It's a media company, and we're going to fold the radio show under it. We're looking to do comic books and books from the 400 or so radio shows that we have on our webpage. We're looking to pull out the gems of who have said what in different books. And I don't know how it's going to look, but it could be one on worker co-ops and one on housing co-ops and one on credit union. Don't know what that's going to look like, but we're looking at all kinds of ways. I have a guy that wrote 3 hip-hop songs about co-ops. So we're looking at all kinds of different venues to get people to understand and know about what you all have been talking about, the value of cooperation and working together. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And that's an area, just the awareness raising about co-ops and the pathway that you might create in a communications co-op. That's very exciting. Congratulations.
We're extremely excited about it. And I have no training in media, some training in marketing, but none about media. So I'm constantly learning. But to help, this is what I would encourage people to go to this conference. Is not just the classes. In every conference I've been to, and I started with the National Association of Housing Co-ops, that's what I was involved in, you see people, the presidents of housing co-ops talking to presidents, and a treasurer will have had a problem. They'll talk to other treasurers, and people give information. It's a wealth. And this is, to me, where the fun is, in this transfer of knowledge. And people are not holding people, oh, you should know that, or, chastising people for their questions. It's all open arms. And I've started preaching here. I take it to the ethical values of cooperation, honesty, openness, social responsibility, and caring for others. Particularly this caring for others is what cooperators do, and that's why I love this space. Yeah, and you guys doing your work. Okay. What are some of the classes? Let me get off the bandwagon here, but
yeah, absolutely. So we have a full list of the sessions available on our website, which is conference.coop. And there are 37 different ones. They're only happening on that Friday and Saturday. And they are a huge range of different sessions about from, the very specific to how do I file my taxes and, what's my business structure, the things that are going to be really helpful for people who are currently operating in worker co-ops and are currently worker owners, to the much broader. Of course, we know there are people who are coming who maybe this is their first introduction to worker co-ops, and we do design it so that it's very easy for those people to engage and come and learn maybe for the first time. And so, we have really large sessions. We have this a featured session for every time slot, so it's a really big room, and it's something about the topic is going to be the main kind of one of the main trends in co-ops. So we have union co-ops, which are organizations that are both worker co-ops and union affiliated, which is a really important growing field in co-ops in the U.S. We have, so a whole hour and a half to kind of understand more about that if you're just understanding kind of where co-ops fit into the larger conversation. We have things about advocacy specifically, if you're coming more from that perspective, if you've worked in advocacy or, you're an organizer and you're more into the political side of things. I would encourage people who are interested. We have every title up and every, specifics about the sessions up on that website, conference.coop. And it's just so much information available to people.
Anything to add, Shevanthi?
Well, I think just underscoring the real push that's happening among union organizers, moving the country towards better conditions, better pay, more voice in the workplace. We see that movement along with the worker co-op movement coming closer and closer together. And the conference will foster this relationship even further and bring our strategies together. And I think there's some alignment that's happening in the field already. We want to really lift up at the conference that are co-ops that are both a worker-owned co-op and a unionized workplace. And I think that's going to be some exciting conversations and some generative thinking about what we need to do as two different movements over the coming years, how we unify our strategies and as we move forward.
Yeah, when I first heard about worker co-ops becoming unionized, I didn't understand it. Worker co-ops are they're for the members, for the employees, and for the benefit of the employees. So I said, why do you need a union? And so what I got, which I'd gotten in housing, when you have a conflict between management and governance, you often need a third party. And I used to go to NCB if they were the party that had loaned the money, or HUD, or whomever, when I was managing housing co-ops. And so it was kind of interesting if you look at governance being the employees creating and running for and creating a board, and the governance, and if they have issues with management, which they hire, but if they have legitimate issues, then a union could come in and help to solve those particular problems. So I think it's a wonderful a model and works. So if you're interested in the conference or you just want to know more about it, go to www.conference.coop. And if you're interested in some of the shows that we have had, you could find out Esteban Kelly has been on, and his enthusiasm goes all through the roof. Because I was laughing, Theodora, when you were talking about when he came to your class. Every time I see him at a conference or any kind of a meeting, or if he's on the air, his enthusiasm is there. But Everything Co-op is www.everything.coop, and you can listen to the previous shows or see who's coming up for next Thursday. And this show will be up on our webpage within the next 2 weeks. How much does it cost to go to a conference?
Oh my gosh, it depends on what you have. We like people to give, what's reasonable for them and what they can do based on the value. We had scholarships. We gave more than 150 away already in our first round. So we try to make it really accessible to people. That's for the rate of under $190 for the entire event. So under that is a scholarship. Those have kind of closed out at this point, but we do have for our members $190 for the whole 3 days, meals included, every event included. And then
how can
for non-members it starts at $275.
Theodore, I'm sorry, I got to cut you off. How can you do a conference in Chicago and you have all of these meals for $190? Yeah.
Thank you for asking me that. It is my work. It is my entire job. The question is, the answer is it's me. That's how we do it. I mean, it's me and it's our staff and it's our, members giving us things, and it's our donations that we get. But it is just, it's a lot of work. I mean, I've been working on this event for a year, and to keep the cost down and to keep it accessible. When I say meals included, I should be clear, the dinners after the event is over are not, right? But while you're there, snacks and coffee and lunch and everything, and childcare free for those who need it. And, we have everything. We try to think of everything. We have a lot of interpretation for people who speak Spanish. We're expecting about 20% of the people there to be Spanish speakers, because that is a really huge growing area, a community of people who are using co-ops to gain that economic access. Yeah, and if you want to check out what's available too, if you go to the website and you click on that link that takes you to the app, it'll be right below the main image, and it'll say, find the sessions and everything else. And you go to the app, there should be a session called Info, and that really lists out these services I'm talking about, what you can expect and the support you can expect to go. So just to wrap up and go back to what you were saying, $275 is the starting rate for people who are coming, who are not our members. Goes up to, $600, I think, because really the cost of the event is more like $300 per person. So we're offering a rate below the actual cost of the event to everyone. And we really hope that people will consider doing that sliding scale, think about what they pay for other conferences, thinking about what they pay for a 3-day training, and, giving us that amount. We do want that. We just try to make it possible for people to not have to come to us and ask, hey, can I pay less? Because so many people need to do that as well.
Thank you. How many people do you expect to be there?
About 600 max. We do have a Friday-only registration, so when you're looking at that registration page, you're able to choose. If you want to just come on Friday, that's really the day that we're expanding to people who maybe this is their first time, or they're local and they're just kind of starting to get started and they don't want to go for all 3 days. So on that day, we expect a few more people. That'll be about 600, and then other days will be about 500.
Okay, so we will be, as Everything Co-op, will be live on that Thursday, September the 12th, at the conference there in Chicago. Next week, we will be live at the Federation of Southern Co-ops in Birmingham, Alabama. They're at Birmingham and Epps. They have worker co-ops in their 13. They work at 13 states in the Black Belt. We try to get around to conference, and the Impact Conference it's going to be in October, the 1st through the 4th, I believe.
That's right.
So we'll be there and we'll be live, but we talk to the young people that come to the young leadership. Those are the people we talk to at that conference. And we may get out to Vancouver, where the National Association of Housing Co-ops is having their conference in October. I'm not sure about that yet.
Oh, that's a busy schedule for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure about that. Okay.
We're lucky to have you attend the conference.
And there was a conference I went to in St. Paul, was the Black Co-op Agenda Conference in St. Paul about 5 weeks ago. That was fantastic. What message would you like to leave people with? Who would like to go first? What message about co-ops, about life, about worker co-ops?
Can I say just the most practical? Here's the thing. I'm an events planner. I'm thinking about the day-to-day and the details. So I have to say my one message has to be, if you are thinking of going to this conference, you need to register right now. It's getting towards selling out. Our final date to register is August 24th or August 30th, but it will sell out before then, I think. So if you're on the fence or you're thinking about it, go ahead and check it out and think about it today, because I just don't want anyone to be sad and miss out. And so sorry it's so practical, but that has to be my personal message to people right now.
That's what I wanted. Yeah. Get into action, momentum. Shevanthi?
Yeah. For me, I think the backdrop of Chicago being an ecosystem that is really building momentum right now, for me, just centers the importance of ecosystem building, just getting people to collaborate and build relationships and provide the level of support that's needed for worker co-ops to thrive. So I'm really excited to sort of think about ecosystems and what it takes for co-ops to succeed is for us to really unify, collaborate across state lines and city lines, and ensure that we're moving as an aligned movement over the next few years. There's a lot to be hopeful for.
So I want to quickly say that I would encourage anybody out there, no matter what your background is, to come to this conference, because you will be received with open arms. That people will receive you without judgment, no matter what you know or don't know, and they will help you to learn about ways that you can create voice, that your voice will be heard in these different organizations. So we will be back next Thursday. Please live cooperatively and support each other.